My name is Veronica Reynolds. I'm a law student at UCLA, and I'm a member of the UCLA Blockchain Lab. And I'm really excited to introduce our next speaker, Kavita Gupta from Consensys. Come on out.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks for coming out today.
Yes, even with like all this crazy cold and cough going on, I'm very happy and excited to be in LA.
So why don't you start, just say hello and maybe one sentence about why you're here today.
I think after the EO speech, I just felt like I have to talk about Ethereum now. And probably talk about how 10 seconds per transaction wasn't the aha moment. But it's a good starting moment, let's say, with one of the very few applications coming on mainnet. Said that, I think UCLA has been always touted as this amazing institute with the combination of technology and humanities and like a lot of management around it. It has a very overall programs and individual spaces. And I'm hoping by the time I leave, I have a couple of amazing tech engineers joining Consensys and Ventures.
So that's a little shout out to the audience if you're looking to work with Consensys, and yeah, talk to Kavita afterward. And that actually raises a great point. That's actually why I came to UCLA. I wanted to be close to this campus. I just had this instinct that this is where I was going to meet a lot of people in blockchain, and I was right. So if you're out there and you want to get involved, come talk to us. We're really building a community here and help sharing a lot of what's going on with blockchain.
And hey guys, if technology doesn't work, you can always become an actor. So it's LA.
So why don't we start? Can you tell us, for those that don't know, we have a lot of students in the audience, as well as some people who are new, as well as some veterans. So let's just start by talking about what is Consensys Ventures? Like, what is that?
Consensys Ventures is a venture, any other VC fund. It's an external proprietary arm of Consensys, but the unique part of it is one of the first fund which started doing both equity and token investment. So it's sort of like traditional VC hedge fund sort of a thing. We have our own trading desk. We do long-term positions. We also help make market for a lot of our portfolio companies. And it is a wild, wild west with respect to how do you invest in tokens, how do you invest in equity. So we are also learning, working with SECs and figuring out how to customize our legal term sheets every day with every deal, with people opening up their companies in the islands I never knew existed on the maps. And, and how does the whole token circulation and economics work? How does the technology work? Suddenly, I feel like instead of investing, I should start like a node renting farmhouse somewhere. Like it's a so I think what Consensys Ventures is trying to do is being a part of the epicenter, Consensys being the epicenter of Ethereum ecosystem, using the whole infrastructure which Consensys has to offer, and create a new legalized way of investing into this economics where we do give flexibility to entrepreneurs that they don't have to go up and down Sand Hill Road to talk to just niche investors, but at the same time, keep the wisdom of the VC world of actually building a company and delivering a product. So somewhere in the middle. We are still figuring out the optimized value.
Okay, and so when people, I've heard that you have this thing called spokes. Can you explain what that is? And I know it's a little bit separate from ventures, or is it not? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
It is. So when we say spokes, it's like incubating. If we are so much in love with the project where we, first we have to be in love with the project, of course, but the second thing is at the very early ideating stage, it bankrolls everything from day one, which is including entrepreneur salary. When they are thinking about it, they're putting the team together, help them get the team. So it's like completely incubating the idea in-house. So that's why it's more on the joint venture side. But as the ecosystem are growing, more and more amazing technology brains who already know how to code on it, who already have a team of 5 people, are coming in the market. That's how ventures came this year, because we
Got it.
started realizing we have to be part of the extended community too.
Okay, so when someone comes to you and they want to work on a project, how does that work? So who do they speak to? How do you end up finding projects?
Finding projects hasn't been an issue. Filtering them through 10 channels has been an issue, because I still end up in a meeting where the guy is just like, we'll give you free tokens and you can just put it in the market on Ether Delta and 8x return, just give us your name. And I'm like, how did you end up being in this meeting? So I think very fortunate for us to be part of Consensys, that finding great projects hasn't been an issue. I think what has been an issue is like, first part is it going to be a spoke or is it going to be a venture company? Which is becoming more and more clear because entrepreneurs are way more smarter now in this ecosystem. They know exactly what they want. They have a right ask on the table.
Yeah.
And once that goes, for us to invest in them, the biggest thing is, what do we bring on the table? Because we don't do any investment from the ventures, which is pure liquidity play. What's the point? There is too much money in the market, just do tokens, it's fine.
So I'm going to go off script a little bit here, but I'm curious. Is there any recommendation you can give to people who are maybe, thinking about incubating their own idea, getting something off the ground? Is there any advice you can give them? Something maybe not to say, not to lead with? I'm sure you've heard it all.
Our blockchain uses ERC20 tokens. Don't start the pitch with that. No, I think the good part of this ecosystem is you can do anything. Everything is completely open. You can take a traditional idea and make a very good blockchain use case, or you can create a complete new idea and just show that blockchain can be used for this. And I think the bad part is exactly the same point, that people go super crazy, and one of the first mainnet cases are CryptoKitties.
Yeah.
Right?
Can
not
you
land
actually
typing,
explain what CryptoKitties is really quick for anyone? Raise your hand if you know what or have heard of CryptoKitties. Okay, raise your hand again.
I want to put a disclaimer. CryptoKitties put that Consensys Venture invested in them in China. That's a false news.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Ooh, a little gossip. Raise your hand if you own a CryptoKitty. I'm just curious. I'm not going to hack you.
Oh man,
for your
I want to
kitty.
ask you, why did you buy CryptoKitties? Okay.
Oh, that's a good reason.
That's a good reason.
That's it. I
Justifiable.
my husband really wanted one.
To gift
You'll have
to
ask.
gift you?
He did give it to me.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can ask him why. He was really, really into it, mainly from Jesse, I think. But, and so I'm just going to ask one last question kind of about the organization before I ask a couple questions about Ethereum. So I've spoken with some people with Consensys, and they describe your organization as a flat organization. And as we're building out the UCLA blockchain lab, I think something that's really important to us, we really like the idea of having, being titleless. And also being flat, but then we realize there's some challenges to that. How do you govern the organization and make sure things are getting executed and being efficient, or do you find that that's a problem?
No right and wrong answer to it. I think Joe Lubin, who is the co-founder of Ethereum and the founder of Consensys, I think he treats everything in his life as an experiment. Yeah. And then he feel like, let me start an experimental revolution and let people figure out what the hell do they want to do now. So that's how I think he did Ethereum. That's how he did his hedge fund before that. And that's how he's doing Consensys. Yeah. The fun part of it is, if you are very entrepreneurial and you are yourself capable of delivering things without having somebody on your head telling you what to do, this is the place to go. That's what the flat structure is. You come, you pitch your idea, you create it, you go, you talk to other teams, get your own legal help, get your finance help within the system, get your champions internally, and you deliver. So it's great. But then the downside of it is not everyone is like that. Yeah. So different teams has different challenges at Consensys. But said that, I think this has given a lot of empowerment to traditional workers who never had the opportunity to just come and be the boss of a particular project. So how we do adventures, and I definitely, because of flat organization, can't talk about the whole Consensys, but what we do at Ventures is we keep on coming with the idea, and we just talk to Joe, this is what we want to do, and then we figure out our own champions to make it happen. But within the team, we have deliverables, we have responsibilities. Nobody gets to micromanage anyone, but then you have to deliver. If you don't deliver, then yes, you do get to get micromanaged. And that's just
Micromanaged or let go?
No. I think if they made it and if they were able to stick around for more than 3 months, you are very capable. And most of the people who are coming in this revolution, especially if they're not doing their own project but working in it, it's not for money. It's like you really believe in this utopia of decentralization.
So speaking of that, what are your thoughts on the utopia of decentralization? You know, there's a spectrum. You know, we all know the history, or you know, the history is very much about that, of starting kind of this new revolution with decentralized, you know, payments and computing. So, do you have any thoughts on that, personally?
I ideally want to believe that 100% decentralization exists, but my upbringing has been very typical World Bank, IFC, and McKinsey. So I practically, if every country government will start issuing their own cryptocurrency, if every country government will start putting one or the other regulation same on the transfer of payments on the decentralized network, it's not really decentralized. It's not, again, that I can send money to Kenya instantaneously without any government borders, restrictions, and blah, blah, blah. So that's out.
So last year, a Bloomberg Businessweek article summed up Ethereum like this. Ethereum could present a whole new way to run a business, but there are some serious kinks to work out. As founding managing partner of investments at Consensys, what do you say to that? What are the kinks, and are they being worked out?
I like the word kinks. What does that mean? Did that guy invest in Spank Chain or something? Listen, I mean, it's a new technology. It's a 2-year-old technology. We are very, very happy and proud that within 2 years, it has become a forefront of every conversation around the world. It's so funny, I got an invitation today from Nobel Peace Laureate in Jordan to talk about blockchain. I'm like, what? So I have no idea what's going to happen.
Oh, you haven't talked to him yet?
No. I got the invitation. I have to go on March 27 to explain how blockchain can be used for a deeper slavery, anti-slavery process and everything. But the thing is, it's a great revolution. This is one of the first time when government, private sector, public sector, everyone has come together to support a technology and have such a faith in the technology. But hey, we are still new. We have our issues. We have scalability issues. We have...
Can we talk about that really quick?
Yeah.
What is Ethereum, the community, and what is Consensys in particular doing? I know that Vitalik sent out a tweet saying, well, not that tweet, but
which one?
Which one? I believe that he offered subsidies for people to gather together and really help solve this problem. So what is Consensys doing to that front, and where do you think we are as a greater community in solving that problem? And really quick, just to let everyone know, scalability, it's just right now, not enough transactions can be processed in a quick enough time on the blockchain, and so there's a lot of people trying to solve that problem. So that's what I'm asking Kavita about right now.
I think scalability, privacy, and at the end of the day, what are going to be the regulations for government to be part of it, right? Because until and unless you keep on having ban or having an impression this has to do anything with terrorism, you have a problem with the technology. So Ethereum Foundation is what Vitalik's playground is. And it is a non-profit organization. They have some of the best brains around the world with a big presence in China who are working. Carl, one of the Ethereum Foundation guy, who is heading Casper, super, super smart. At the same time, we are also, apart from Casper, which is a staking pool, there are different teams which are working on scalability, also on the bottlenecks of different transactional issues which they're thinking, also security and private versus public. There are a lot of different parts of it which is getting worked on. So I don't have the exact number because they are like getting a lot of people every second day, but it's a really big group of super intelligent people. Consensys is very aligned with Ethereum Foundation, but at the end of the day, Consensys is a for-profit entity. Vitalik has no official stake or role at Consensys. I want to make it very clear, said that whenever there comes a project which has to do with putting Ethereum at forefront without any profitability associated with it, everyone in this ecosystem comes together and support it. So for an example, I don't know if you guys have heard, there's a first non-profit foundation which has been set up to give grants to open source projects in Ethereum ecosystem. So Vitalik gave some money, we are coming together to give some money. The guy who is heading it, Mike Lester, is the founder of Augur, also the co-founder of Gnosis, which are Consensys projects, but he's not more at Consensys, he's working on this, and he just wants to accelerate the Ethereum ecosystem.
So if people want to contribute projects, how do they do that?
If it's a non-profit project, it's an open source project, and you want advice, directions, anyone at Consensys, if you connect with them, or you write an email to Ethereum Foundation or this new foundation which is coming up, you will get a lot of guidance. People in this space, even from my practical experience, are very, very, very nourishing and very super supportive. If it's something which you want Consensys to invest or any other entity in Ethereum blockchain system, please do connect us. Even at Consensys, one of the first thing which we do is if we can't do it, if ventures can't do it, doesn't mean we will not connect you to the right people who can work with you or who can even advise you if the project is at the early stage. So there will always be one or the other person connecting you to the right entity. That's how we all work in a very, very collaborative environment. Apart from being flat, that's another pillar which Joe does not go easy on.
Not go easy on, you mean he's pretty vigilant about that being a value? Yeah. So our time is getting close, so I want to make sure I ask you this question. Does Consensys intend to remain loyal solely to the Ethereum network, or can we expect investments on blockchain on other platforms? And then I'm also curious, if so, what platforms?
I think just if I think of any for-profit entity, apart from Joe being a co-founder of Ethereum, right, believing in it, the biggest developer network is on Ethereum. The biggest effect, both not only from developer network, but also the amount of progress which has been made or which is going on with the type of credibility is just Ethereum. I don't see anything even touching nearby that. So for us at this point of time or for next 6 months or 1 year, even thinking about any other platform does even from a business side doesn't make sense. That's one. Secondly, there are a lot of different small off-chain solutions or supporting solutions like Plasma, which comes, and these are open source projects which also Vitalik is working very closely with. And we do support them, but they are open source project which we support outside the profitability equation. So, excuse me, I think for us, it is Ethereum all the way, as much as I can see for next year or so. And I would be very excited if something can change our mind, but nothing which already exists, which has so far.
So if a platform starts to gain speed and really shows a lot of growth, then you would consider it?
But if Ethereum is going to beat them on the same place with way more credibility and way more future vision than just, there's a difference, right? There's always a competition. Somebody comes in and catch up, and something already there and put the fixes on with the base which has been made over years and years of time and with the long-term vision, it's always different.
So I guess I have to do one last question. So I think I just want to end by asking you, how do you see the blockchain ecosystem as a whole developing over the next 5 years? What do you think is next? And I mean, do you think that decentralization is going to affect the way we see, government and democracy runs, or what will decentralization bring?
Decentralization, I think, over next 1.5 years, because we stay in this consensus bubble, we see everything what's going to happen 8 months, 10 months down the lane. News, what we're gonna start getting. So Civil is another project which is gonna churn out all the fake news weeding out process using blockchain. A lot of governments, I'm heading to India next week, Government of India officially signing us to be their official advisor. We're going to do land titling throughout on blockchain, so all the conflicts coming from there. We are looking at projects which are weeding out legal conflicts over blockchain so that there's a consensus among the reputation side of it. As an individual, if I can just give one example, I know we are out of time, is in 1 year or 1.5 years, when we'll go online shopping, we would be getting discounts on the permission whether we want our data to be used, and get money back on the monetization of the data. So we start seeing that's like a direct effect, which I feel like for the next generation to start feeling their shopping is, oh, if I let them use my name, I'll get 30% discount on this dress. So that whole discount mechanic's gonna change, because there's gonna be a visibility.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a visibility on all our data, which we have no idea what's happening today. And that's just small, it's a materialistic example, but if you go on the data side, it's a very, very, very big impact.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for coming out today. Thank you guys for being here. Stay tuned. We have another great speaker coming next, which will be introduced in just a moment.